Hello and welcome to the MAC weather page for this Friday, January 6th. And we've got some potentially exciting weather coming up over the next 7 to 10 days, and we'll take a look at it in a minute. Headlines for the meantime, looks like snow showers will become more confined closer to the lake with just a few scattered flurries inland. It's going to continue to be cold and breezy with highs only in the teens, and then we got some accumulating snow is what we're looking at for early next week as we have a warm air advection pattern that's going to be moving in. And it could even end as a touch of rain, but not before probably several inches of snow will fall across much of the area. And then could something really significantly be brewing for late next week, or more likely next weekend? Certainly some of the models are starting to really jump all over a potential snowstorm. But again, we'll look at that in just a moment. Our normal high for the day is 28, the normal low is 13. And you can see just 2 years ago on this date, we had a record low of 8.3 degrees below zero. And on that date as well, we also picked up 8.8 inches of snow, so a very significant weather date 2 years ago. And if we look at the time-lapse photography across the Breckenridge area here over the last 24 hours, you can see lots of clouds and some snow showers in the morning. Actually gave way to quite a few breaks in the clouds for the afternoon hours. We had a high again, 14 degrees, a low of 6.6. Just a trace amount of precipitation, about a tenth of an inch of snow. And we have a trace of snow on the ground right now. And again, you can see that these clouds, again, eventually do break up. And then coming through here, you'll see another train that we were loading yesterday moves through. And if we look at the conditions around the lower 48 yesterday, the warmest temperature, 83 degrees at Harlingen, Texas, and an incredible low of 46 degrees below zero at Wisdom, Montana. If we look at the conditions around the MAC area a little closer to home yesterday, you can see highs mainly in the teens, lows in the single digits, upper teens across southeast lower Michigan. And again, the cold spot overnight was 4 degrees at Newaygo. And you can see for the month, we are now a little bit below normal. And we do expect overall January to end up below normal when all is said and done. But we're going to have a decent little warm up early next week, but that's what's going to bring us some of that snow activity. And again, we'll have to watch conditions around the area late next week. Things could get really exciting potentially. If we look at conditions around the area this morning, you can see single digits out there, so very cold out there, and that's giving us some wind chills below zero across much of mid-Michigan or in the thumb. Over at Marlette and Brown City earlier this morning, they had wind chills down as low as 9 degrees below zero, 7 degrees below zero at Henderson, so a chilly morning out there. And if we look at the radar, you can see that the snow belt machine is still operating. But again, you notice that the feeder bands coming off the lake are much closer to the shoreline now. And we expect inland areas to just see a couple renegade snow flurries, but nothing of any consequence. And if we look at the weather map this morning, most of the excitement is going to be across the deep south of this low pressure system across the southern portions of the Gulf Coast states. Will move to the northeast just offshore of Georgia and South Carolina. And to the north of that track, some pretty significant snow is going to fall anywhere from parts of northern Alabama and Georgia into the Carolinas and then up into Virginia and possibly up a little farther into the mid-Atlantic states as we move the map into motion on Saturday. You can see the low pressure sitting offshore with that band of heavy snow off to the north of it. And for us here in the Great Lakes, it's going to be mainly high pressure system with the continuation of some lake effect, again, mainly closer to the lake. And then we're going to watch this area of low pressure off the west coast eventually move in. That's going to try to spread the warm air out, and as the high pressure system moves to the east, that moisture will then overrun the cold air, and that should cause our snow to break out as we get into Monday into Tuesday. As far as how much precipitation here over the next 7 days, mainly around 6 to as much as 9/10, maybe an inch, especially away from the Great Lakes. A little more as you get into the lake effect. But again, we're going to concentrate on the areas of non-lake effect for this system coming up next week. Again, much of it will be in the form of snow, so you can see that we could certainly pick up several inches of snow, maybe up to 4, 5, 6 inches. And again, it could end as a touch of rain, so that may hold the snowfall amounts down just a little bit. But right now, it looks like a pretty good bet. We could see 3 to 5 inch type snows. Again, we'll continue to monitor that over the next several days, but it could get quite snowy here as we get into early next week, and then we're going to watch for a potential major system maybe for next weekend. As far as some of the models and how much snow we might get with this warm air advection pattern on Monday and Tuesday, you can see the GFS showing a pretty good swath of about 3 to 5 inches across much of the area. If we look at the Canadian, a little bit more aggressive, showing anywhere from around 4 to as much as 7 inches of snow across mid-Michigan. And if we look at the weekend potential storm for next week. Now this would also include the snow for early in the week, but you can see total snowfall amounts from this upcoming Monday to the following Monday would be over a foot of snow once you get around the Lansing area off to the north. 10, 15, maybe even 17 inches of snow according to the Canadian. And if you look at the GFS, wow, a bomb goes off across southeast lower Michigan, northern Indiana, northern Ohio, where snowfall projections of between 2 feet and 30 inches of snow. Again, take this with a grain of salt. It's probably going to change about 5 different times between now and then. But with the Canadian and the GFS both showing a potential major storm for next weekend, it's something that's certainly worth following. If we get into about Tuesday, Wednesday, and we still see this on the weather maps, then it'll be time to take a real close look at it. If we look at Weather Watch for this morning, you can see the number of winter weather advisories shrinking across Michigan as that lake effect begins to wind down, and much of the area, though, under wind chill advisories across the Midwest, the northern Great Lakes, and even parts of Ohio, with the very cold temperatures and the winds creating potential wind chill values down between 15 and 20 degrees below zero. And you can see still some lake effect warnings across Lake Superior and across the downwind of Lake Erie as well. Thanks for stopping by, and have yourself a great day, and 73s to all.